Greetings, fellow YouTuber. My name is Tim. Greetings, fellow YouTuber. My name is Tim. Welcome once again to the Friday night get-together that one reviewer declared it's craptastic. This is GainerWorld Live. My name is Tim Gainer. Thank you so much for joining me again as we do this every single Friday night. What is it that we do every Friday night? Well, we do a whole bunch of nothing, to be really honest with you. No, really, I mean, we don't do a thing. Basically what we do is we all get together. We started this, somebody called me out on this a couple of weeks ago, and I had to go back and actually do the research on it. We started this in March of 2020. And, we started doing this in March of 2020, going live. And, we've been doing this for what, about over 3 years, almost 3.5 years we've been doing this. And we've been having a lot of fun. And really the name of the game is still relatively simple. What we do is we get together and we just talk about stuff that's going on, stuff that's in the news, stuff that interests us. And we do this by help of this cool little chat thing that is right there. You see it right there. Nobody's in there yet, so you can be the first one on your block to do that. That's right. And if you're watching this on the replay on YouTube, you can always comment in the comments field down below. Yes, we will answer, as a lot of people are starting to find out. A couple of weeks ago when I was out of town, we did a recorded version of the vlog, or the V, as the teenagers call it, discussing a final Beatles album. And a lot of people are commenting on that. And then they come back and they go, wow, he's like talking back to me. This is like weird. So yeah, we are definitely doing that. Go check that out, by the way. GainerWorld 197, where we talk about, and in the end, the possibility of a final Beatles album. The final Beatles single, final Beatles recording, we'll put it that way, is going to be coming out later on this year. And so we talk about the possibility of making a final Beatles album. So join in the fun if you want to do that. I'm very happy to say we've got a couple thousand views on that, which to me is just like unheard of. But then again, I know that there's a lot of Beatles fans out there. So by all means, definitely check it out and comment. Yes, I will answer back, just like I'll answer back if you're watching the replay on this. If you don't believe me, try it. Go ahead. Try it. Do it, tough guy. Come on, let's go. So yeah, in the meantime, a lot of folks just having a lot of fun. This is the last unofficial weekend of summer, which is why everybody's out right now. And that's okay. I certainly do believe it. It is Labor Day here in the States over this weekend, which means that everybody gets Monday off, which is a lot of fun. Pardon me just a sec. So, everybody gets that long 3-day weekend. If you're one of those people that has to work Monday, I'm sorry about that, but thank you for doing it just the same. Folks like me, yeah, we're going to be celebrating what we call in the States here, the last unofficial weekend of summer. Now, that's what Labor Day is. It's the last summer that you get a 3-day weekend. You get to go out and hang out with your friends. I'm going to be spending it. How am I going to be spending it? Sunday. I'm going to be spending it with son Matt. We're going to be playing golf and then coming back here and eating pizza and watching wrestling shows. And that's how we do back around here. If you want to join us, hey, if you know where I live, great. If not, don't worry about it. If you do know and I don't know you, go ahead. I dare you. Anyway, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do anything like that. So that's what's going on. And again, if you're new to the show, please, by all means, welcome. We welcome you with open arms, which I realize can be a little creepy at times. But there it is. we want you to enjoy ourselves. Please, by all means, feel free to join us in the chat right over here, and let's see what everybody has to say. Also want to remind you, as I always remind you every single Friday night, that right after this little piece of cyber whatever it is, the folks at Hugs 24/7 Radio will be doing their thing. Cyrus Gray, complete with broken teeth. He'll tell you the story, I'm sure. He's got the top 10 countdown, the top 10 unsigned independent artists from around the world. He's going to be counting them down from the Hugs Top 200 chart that comes up 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, right after this very piece of Cyber Slop. Elena Kaczynski has popped in to say hello. Hello, Elena. Let's see how good your equilibrium is. Popping in to say hi. So yeah, we got all kinds of things going on this weekend. What are your plans for the Labor Day weekend? Are you just going to hang out and barbecue with friends? Are you going to take care of some last minute yard work and go shopping? Are you just going to say the heck with it and sleep? Do you have to work? Let me know in this comment thing right here. Listening as I work on dinner. Okay. Hey, then that's always a good thing. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Always a good thing to do. Also, one of the things that we have to do, he's putting on the glasses. So that only means one thing. We have to do it. We have to get into it. As we get into it every single week, long about this time, let's just get I'm so excited I can't even talk about it. Let's just dive headlong. It's time for the Deadpool Report. Let's do it, y'all. What do you think? You may know this, but on the death list, the official death list, if you need to check it out for yourself, go to Death List UK, and you can see it for yourself that he was, in fact, number 3 on the Deadpool for 2023. But according to our friends at CBS, Bob Barker, the perennial game show host, possibly the last of the real game show hosts, I think we can honestly say. If you're not from the States, you may not know that name, but during the 60s and the 70s and even a little bit beyond, there was a group of people that all they did was they literally were game show hosts for TV. And they were really good at it. There was a batch of them. People like Tom Kennedy, people like Jack Nars, people like Dennis James. So a lot of great people that just literally were game show hosts. Alex Trebek, of course, the great Alex Trebek. Bob Barker was one of them. He hosted a show called The Price is Right. And I'm talking to the folks outside the U.S. I know people inside the U.S. are going, Tim, tell me all about it. He hosted The Price is Right for 35 years. Passed away last Saturday at the age of 99. He died at home peacefully in his sleep. His representative, Roger Neal, said that he, quote, had a beautiful life. We lost a beloved member of the CVS family today with the passing of Bob Barker. During his 35 years as host of The Price is Right, Bob made countless people's dreams come true and made everyone feel like a winner when they were called to come on down. And that wasn't his line. That was Johnny Olson's line, so you can't lie to me. Or Rod Roddy later on. In addition to his legendary 50-year career in broadcasting, he'll be remembered as a dedicated animal rights activist, and we'll get into that in a second. Daytime television has lost one of the most iconic stars. That was according to CBS in a statement. He was on the show for 50. I mean, he was on different. How can I say this? He wasn't exactly on. I mean, everybody knows him, at least from this generation, and maybe the one before it, as being the host of The Price is Right. But, and here's something for people maybe a little closer to my age or beyond. I'm about to jar your memory right here. He was the one that hosted Truth or Consequences. 20 years of that. Yeah, remember when they rebooted that back in 72? Yeah. And he actually earned him recognition in the Guinness Book of World Records as TV's most durable performer, which I think is kind of cool. He had a very plain style, and apparently every December 21st, again, this is according to CBS, Ralph Edwards, who created the show, again, another iconic TV game show host, and he would drink a toast at lunch to celebrate the day in 56 when Ralph Edwards notified Bob Barker, who had no previous television experience at all, that he was going to be the host of Truth or Consequences. And he stayed with them for 18 years, calling it a fun show. And then in 72, we all know what happened there. He hosted a revival of The Price is Right. It originally aired between 1957 and 1962, if I'm not mistaken. He stayed there for 35 years. And everybody just loved this guy. He was just one of these affable, really great personalities. And it's shown every day that he did it. Of course, he was honored because of this. He won 19 Emmys, 14 as the host of The Price is Right, 4 as the show's executive producer, and then a Lifetime Achievement Award. And he was inducted into the Television Academy Hall of Fame in 2004. So, yeah, his first and only feat, of course, everybody later on in his career. Come on. How can you forget that iconic scene in Happy Gilmore with Adam Sandler? Come on. Come on. The price isn't right, Bob. And he said in an interview that audience members for The Price is Right would always ask him about that scene and ask him, can you really beat up Adam Sandler? So yeah, 9,500 different shows. And of course, we all know that he was a renowned animal activist. And he once even testified in Congress in support of a federal ban of using elephants in traveling shows and for rides. So he was really big on that. And wow, I mean, what can you say? Chris, our occasional guest co-host, Chris King, has popped in and just said, I wonder what the expression was when he heard the devil told him to come on down. And Chris beat me to the punch. He said he was the closest to 100 without going over. Yep, that's a boss move if ever there was one. But yeah, boy, I hope God's got his pet spayed or neutered. That's for sure. Bob Barker, gone at the age of 99. Such a shame. Such a shame. But that's not all. You would think that would be enough. But no, that's not all. Just yesterday, we heard about the guitarist for Dire Straits has died. No, not that one. The other guitarist. Dire Straits guitarist Jack Sonny has died at the age of 68, according to the U.S. Sun. The London-founded band, of which Jack was the only U.S. member, announced on their website and on Twitter, or X, or whatever the heck Elon is calling it this week. They announced it in a very heartbreaking post yesterday, along with that picture that we have here. They wrote, Jack Sony, rest in peace. Dire Straits. The cause of his death has not been revealed. But again, yeah, we make jokes about it, but it's true. He was known as the other guitarist. He came around during he came in during the Love Over Gold tour in 1984, and the funny part about it was he was in a music shop, Rudy's Music Shop in Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. Oh, I beg your pardon, in New York City. He was born outside of Pittsburgh, in a little town of Indiana, Pennsylvania, about 58 miles east of Pittsburgh. And he was in Rudy's guitar shop, and David and Mark Knopfler came in on that fateful day in 1984. And in 84, he visited the Knopflers in London after David Knopfler left the band. And he was asked to join them for the recording sessions for what would turn out to be possibly one of the greatest albums of all time, Brothers in Arms. And of course, he helped them with that incredible concert that they played at Wembley Stadium for Live Aid. He said it was, quote, exhilarating, surreal, and a dream come true. An amazing special day, not just for me, but for the world. And a lot of people are saying that a lot of people are paying tribute to Jack. They do remember him. They always joke that he was, that it was always, he was always the other guitarist. But they always talk about how he looked in that red coat when he played in Wembley. After it's, he left Dire Straits in 1988 and just quit the music industry altogether. He got, quote, a day job in marketing and advertising and focused on raising his twin daughters. Having worked for some big companies, Seymour Duncan, Rivera Guitars, and then he spent several years as director of marketing communications at Line 6, which, if anybody plays music, knows what Line 6 is all about. So yeah, another sad death to talk about, unfortunately. Jack Sony, the other guitarist in Dire Straits, gone at the age of 68, and that's good enough for me. That's the Dead Report, y'all. Let's get out of here. Occasional Go host Chris King has popped in, and he's like, okay, let's see how sharp my wit is. Oh boy. This can only lead to no good. This can only lead to no good. Elena says, I know they're very different, but I tend to confuse him. I'm going to think Bob Barker with Betty White's husband. No, you're thinking of Alan Ludden, another great game show host. He's the guy that did Password for so many years. Yeah, Bob Barker was like, he's the last of a dying, well, no pun intended, but he's the last of a dying breed. There's no such thing as professional game show hosts anymore. I mean, you've got guys like Drew Carey and Wayne Brady, but they started off as stand-up comedians, didn't they? You don't have the old school folks like, Dennis James or Jack Nars or Alan Ludden. Just so many names that come up. Trying to think of the original host of Jeopardy, whose name has escaped me at the moment. But yeah, it's not like, your kids get up in the morning and say to yourself, I want to host a game show. And they just don't do it anymore. But there was a breed of people like that in the beginning, and they were really, really good. And Bob Barker was one of them. So there's that. Chris wants to know, buried there because if so, is Jack Sony buried in there? Because if so, it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, God. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, gonna be one of them days, huh? Okay, no problem. I got you. It's all good. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. Well, as long as we're talking about all this, let's check to see who's on the old rock and roll police blotter and see who's screwing up this week. You remember a couple of weeks ago, we had talked about the story of Cardi B in Las Vegas, where somebody threw water on her during the show, and she decided that she wanted to get back at that person and took her mic and threw it at the person. Subsequently, that mic, by the way, was not only stolen, but it was actually auctioned off to charity, which I thought was a very cool thing. Well, according to Variety, apparently, not to be outdone, we find out that 50 Cent might be in serious legal trouble, according to Variety. He struck a concert goer in the head with a mic on Wednesday night during his final lap tour stop at the Crypto.com Arena in L.A. Yes. No wonder they call it the land of fruits and nuts. And Chris is saying about Cardi B, I don't know what the issue is considering she's used to various parts of her being wet. Yeah, I know. I wanted to go there, dude. I really did, but it's YouTube. Okay? I mean, there's nothing. So here's what's going on. We've got video of what happened the other night. And what happened was apparently Mr. Cent, or as the teenagers call him, Fitty, he was getting mad because they kept giving him microphones so he could sing or rap or whatever he was doing at that moment. And he got the first one, didn't work. And so he kind of threw that one. And they gave him another one. And then he used a little bit more force. And then a second mic failed. And this is what happened. Apparently, he launched that thing. I mean to say, he launched it. Check this out. Watch this one more time. Fitty wasn't playing when it came to this. Fitty was not playing. He was a little bit perturbed that his wireless mic was not working. So apparently during his final lap tour, according to Variety, he's got special guests on stage, including YG. He was performing on stage at the time. You can see him in the background there. When he hit the alleged injured party, who they have started circulating online who the victim is. And we have the story. Many people are asking who the victim was. And we found out that the victim was none other than KPWR's midday host, Brianna Monaghan from Power 106. Well, number one for hip hop in LA, man. Yeah, she has in fact filed a police report as of Wednesday night. According to LAPD, they believe, again, according to LAPD, the sources there say they believe that Fitty threw the mic at his crew in the production area, but ended up hitting Brianna. And yeah, Brianna's not looking too good today. Okay. She says that she told the cops that Mr. Scent looked directly at her before throwing the mic. So at least according to her, he knew she was there. And she went to the hospital with a deep laceration on her head. And sources who were present are telling TMZ that he wasn't targeting the woman, but, I mean, judging by... I mean, come on. Judging by the looks of things, I think it's safe to say he clocked her pretty good. Okay? He clocked her pretty good. Yeah, so a source connected to Fitty is saying the woman wasn't supposed to be in that restricted area. Apparently that was an area around the stage that was meant for, like, media people. But wait a minute. She was a media person. She is a media person. She's Brianna, by God. Okay? You can't do this to Brianna. That's just all there is to it. Okay? So, yeah. So, obviously, Brianna is taking the high road and not saying anything to either Variety or TMC, waiting until, the appropriate time where she can talk about it on the air. So, Power 106 can get the ratings. Go figure. Hey, Brianna, look, God love you. I'd be doing the same thing. I really would. But Scott Lehman, who is an attorney for Fitty, said in a statement, quote, "Let's be very clear. As I told the LAPD this afternoon, my client, Curtis, just doesn't have the same ring, does it? He'd never intentionally strike anyone with a microphone. Anyone saying something different doesn't have all the facts, and they're misinformed." So they're not able to confirm, but TMZ is saying that she is. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. We are going to keep an eye on this one and see what happens with the 5-0 there in terms of this. But yeah, you can pretty well imagine the Power 106's ratings just went through the roof, off the chain. They got their fall book. Trust me on that. Checking the tote board here. Chris is saying, I wonder if the sound guy took his feedback. Oh, come on. Dude, low-hanging fruit. Come on, give me something better, will you? Apparently a big bucket of chicken in her belly. Hey, man. Don't be knocking that perky Brianna, okay? She's midday personality, man. Power 106. Number one for hip-hop in L.A., man. Robin Newman has checked in. Good evening to you, sir. Always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for popping in. Certainly do appreciate it. And another thing that did happen, another thing that is happening in terms of, and I guess this is starting to turn into it's getting dangerous being a performer these days. It is really getting to be dangerous being a performer these days. And I know a lot of you right now are wondering. I understand this, and you should, because she is a treasure. She's an absolute treasure, and we love her. I know everybody today is asking themselves, how is Ellie Goulding doing? Well, you should ask. You should totally ask. Because apparently, Ellie had a little bit of a mishap, shall we say? She was on stage at the Victorious Festival in Portsmouth last weekend in the UK, and she was singing her hit Calvin Harris collaboration, "Miracle," according to Fox News. And this happened. they got a little too close to the pyrotechnics. As you can see there, that one little flash bomb that just came right up from the floor and caught her right in the face. In fact, they censored it on that particular video, but she did scream the F word, much to, I'm sure, the happiness and joy of her followers. And she appeared to cover her face briefly. She continued on. But in a post, that she put together on Wednesday, she was nice enough to tell everybody, so to those asking, I'm okay. Pyro didn't hit me directly in the face. Face is intact. Love you. Thank you. Yeah. I do know for a fact that those I have had. I'll get to a related story on that. There's a 6 Degrees story from Gainer in just a second here. So yeah, but she's obviously not the first to have that happen. In 2015, Michael Clifford, lead guitarist for 5 Seconds of Summer, had facial burns and his hair caught on fire when he accidentally walked into a pyrotechnics display. Of course, we all remember what happened to James Hetfield in Montreal back there in the 90s. And yeah, so Ella's okay. Ellie's okay. She's all right. Nothing to worry about. Everybody stay cool. Ellie's okay. She's okay. Says so right there. Checking the tote board here. Robin is saying hi to, or Liz Jecka is saying hi to Robin, or Robin's talking to himself. Who knows at this point? Hard to say. And Chris is saying, hey, free nose job. Yeah, it kind of looks like it. If you, either that or there's some major skincare. Yeah, and Chris put it together too. Michael Jackson, the Pepsi incident. I remember that. A 6 Degrees story. My good friend and fellow Bullfrog stablemate, Garrett Hoke, had it happen to him. We were playing a show under the guise of Brad Axis in Toronto. And they had set up the pyro. And he didn't read the cue properly. And he took one step too many to the front of the stage, and this one flash pot came up, pure magnesium, boom, right in the face. He was okay. But I had to take over the vocals because it deprived him of oxygen, and he had to run backstage, and he's throwing up all over the place because he just took a face full of magnesium. So I ended up taking over the vocals for the rest of the song at that time. And we laughed about it later on, but it was kind of a weird situation that was happening there. MU City Games popping in, saying, sorry I'm late, was getting some health news. Joy of Joys, Stone said it best. What a drag it is getting old. Oh, yeah. Tell me about it, bro. I knows the feeling, and I got news for you. It only gets worse. Just saying. Ask anybody about my svelte trim figure these days. Tell you what we're going to do here. We're going to come back, and we have got updates on Vanna White. We've also got an update for you Swifties. That's right. You may want to stick around for this one. If you missed Taylor Swift's tour, we got some big news for you. That's coming up in just a sec. Stick around.
Hello.
Hi, I'm picking up. It's been here for a while.
Give me a sec. Okay, I found it right here.
Yeah, that's it. Wow. Okay, you got it. Thank you.
Very good. Have a great day.
When the summer is all so fair. We have returned, and yes, I would appreciate it if you went out and bought a copy of the album, because right now on House 24/7 Radio, actually, Sunrise Also Fell is actually, I'm happy to say, it's kind of taken on a second life, and is currently at number 28 on the Huck's Top 100, and I'm very happy about that, and thank you very much for that. I certainly do appreciate it. Speaking of which, yeah, all right, let's get into this, because obviously Emu City and Chris are starting to work on this. Going back to the Ellie Goulding story, and you know what? That was beautiful, Chris. Ellie, are you okay? Ellie, are you okay? Are you okay, Ellie? I think that's beautiful. I really do. And Emu City saying, you've been struck by a stray firework. All right, you guys, come on. Okay? You know, what can I say except...
Leave Brittany alone!
Even if it is just Ellie, okay? Come on. She had a tough week last week.
Leave Brittany alone!
Just be nice to her, okay? Just saying. We have an update. Where did that come from? Him, Chris. Ow! Or, as I like to say, chew moan. We've got a follow-up to a story that we've been following for a little while concerning Vanna White and her contract negotiations to continue on as the co-host / letter turner of Wheel of Fortune. And, you know, she has not finalized her upcoming contract yet. And according to a new report in the New York Post, the new season's coming up. And then by the new season, I mean the last season. And by the last season, I mean the last season that, in fact, Pat Sajak is going to be on the show with Vanna. He is retiring after, what is it, like 42 years or something like that? Something absolutely ridiculous. And, of course, if you don't know, he is being replaced by that perky, svelte, trim, and always hilarious Ryan Seacrest. But in the meantime... yeah, 41 years. 41 years Pat Sajak has been doing Wheel of Fortune. See, this is what I mean about dying breeds of game show hosts. They're not around anymore. People like Pat and Trebek and Bob Barker are just, you know, they're like that. But, yeah, according to the New York Post, and this is a quote, Vanna and the producers are currently on a similar page, but they want to get a deal done, but they both still have a few hiccups to clear through, according to an unidentified source alleged to the Daily Mail. Quote, they both know they have a lot of time to do it and more discussions to be had, but everyone wants something achieved and wouldn't want Pat's last year hampered by the constant news of the revolving contract dispute drama. They want to celebrate this year with little or no drama. The Post obviously has reached out to Vanna for comments. Nobody's heard anything yet. And I still say that she's got it coming to her. I really sincerely believe that. I really do. I mean, she hasn't had a raise in 18 years. Okay? He hasn't had a raise. Now think about it. You're at your job for 18 years and you haven't had a single raise. That's going to peeve you off too. Let's call it what it is. And at the same time, it's like, I guess Pat, and I don't have the figures in front of me, unfortunately, but I think he was getting something like 15 million or something like that a year. And she was only making a couple of million. Poor baby. But yeah, apparently, according to Puck News, Vanna has hired attorney Brian Friedman to broker a deal for her. She's already negotiated a new contract and a salary for the celebrity version of the show. However, according to the Insider, according to the New York Post, the show's producers want to make sure it's a smooth transition between having Pat and Ryan as hosts, and they think that having Vanna there could really help smooth things out with the viewers, which I am inclined to believe. Look, they still announce her to this day as, here are the co-hosts, Pat Sajak and Vanna White. To take that away from her is absolutely ludicrous. They want her next contract, though, to be her last one. So there's a little bit more maneuverability to change things up in a few years when they look for her replacement. But White is still looking for that raise, according to the New York Post, and a tremendous one at that, according to the source. From what I understand, she only wants $5 million a year. I mean, come on, guys. It's Vanna. She's a face of the show. She's part of the franchise. Okay? Come on. Let's be realistic about this. All right? This woman is the face of the franchise. That's it. Okay? Try to replace her. Placing Pat, yeah, it's going to be tough, but I think Ryan can do it. But you know what? That's Vanna White we're talking about. Okay? It's a matter of who's going to budge first. Both aren't blinking. Vanna wants to go out on her terms and retire when she says it's a nice paycheck to end it all, which I still have a hard time understanding because she's married to that Arabian sheik. Remember that one, guys? Yeah. So we're going to keep an eye on what's going on with Vanna, and we will definitely keep you abreast of that situation. Checking the tote board, going back to the Ellie Goulding thing, because Chris is having such a great time with it. I said Chumone, and Chris said Shamone. I think it's Chumone. If you go back and listen to the third, go back and listen to the Dangerous album, okay? I got a feeling. Chumone. No, go back and listen to Bad. That's where he does it. Shamone, not to be confused with ShamWow. That is true. To that much I must confess. That is very true. We also have an update going on concerning the Elena put it best. First world problems. Yes, indeed. First world problems. Can you make $5 million in a year? Lord, how she suffers. We have an update on the strike. Not much of one, but it's one that's kind of encouraging. I guess that, people are either starting to get tired of this crap or somebody's starting to break down someplace. But according to Variety, SAG-AFTRA has granted approval for 3 AMC network shows to restart production under its provision, controversial though it may be, allowing independent projects to continue despite the strike. The 3 shows are Interview with the Vampire, which is shooting in Prague, and 2 Walking Dead spinoffs, The Ones Who Live and Daryl Dixon. They are shooting in France. So they have granted interim agreements, and this allows productions that are not connected to the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, or the AMPTP, to keep shooting, provided they abide by the terms of SAG-AFTRA's last proposal to the studios. So there's something, kind of cool going on. The union did bow to pressure. It agreed not to grant interim agreements to U.S.-based projects that were written under the jurisdiction of the Writers Guild, who, of course, is on strike with SAG-AFTRA. And the AMC shows will be able to continue to shoot overseas. So we've got that going. That's kind of a neat thing. I mean, it's not really a neat thing. I mean, it's still, basically what it is if these shows are overseas and with different unions overseas, then, hey, guess what? They're not affected, so therefore they can keep shooting, which I kind of expected was going to happen at one point. So you've got that to look forward to. At least we've got, got some Walking Dead spinoffs. Oh boy. Never mind Walking Dead, we've got the spinoffs. There is one last thing that we can talk about here. And it's important. It's more than just important. It's really important. We have been covering for the last couple of months now the glory and the majesty and the hysteria that has been brought about by Taylor Swift Eras Tour. And we've been talking about how, I mean, come on, let's face it. She's starting to wander into McCartney territory with this tour. Because they're saying that with the extension of dates that she just put on, she could actually rake in, she could be the first billionaire. And that is to say, she would be the first one to rake in $1 billion on her tour. Well, sure. Apparently that's not enough for old Taylor. She's going for the big time. And if you have not been able to snag tickets for the Eras Tour, which apparently is turning into the biggest tour in the history of mankind, Chris is saying which you'll see about 2% of it. Yeah, because she's got to pay off everybody. But at the same time, too, you've heard about the stories about how she's like giving her truck drivers $100,000 each in like bonuses and stuff. So, what's 2% of $1 billion? Think about it. But if you as a casual concert goer and a Swiftie, and you haven't been able to, if you haven't been able to snag your tickets, if you haven't for some reason been able to enjoy and join in with the Swiftie Army for all of the majesty of the Eras Tour, according to Rolling Stone, this news released today. If you're a Swiftie, you better sit down.
Welcome to the Eras Tour. This has been the most extraordinary experience of my entire life. He looks so pretty like a devil is. She feels funny. We're about to go go on a little adventure together, and that adventure is going to span 17 years of music. How does that sound? Welcome to the acoustic setting. It's a cool summer. Are you ready for it? I'm trying to get back in the car, and I cried like a baby coming home from the bar. I'm fine, but it wasn't true. Love you ain't got the worst thing you ever had. People would come up to me and they'd be like, "You gonna just like do a show with like all the albums in it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be called the Eras Tour. See you there."
Yes, it's true. Taylor's about to bring in them big theater bucks because, as you just saw, the concert film is set to hit the theaters on October the 13th. According to her website, and according to Taylor herself, who wrote on Instagram, quote, according to Rolling Stone, "The Eras Tour has been the most meaningful electric experience of my life so far, and I'm overjoyed to tell you that it'll be coming to the big screen soon. Starting October 13th, you'll be able to experience the concert film in theaters in North America. Tickets are now on sale at amctheaters.com. Eras Attitude, Friendship Bracelets, Singing and Dancing Encouraged. 1, 2, 3, LGB. If you know, you know." So apparently, this show, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, will run a minimum of 4 showtimes per day at AMC Theaters. They're all going to be on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays starting October 13th. And according to Rolling Stone, naturally, it says here, staying true to her love for a double meaning, tickets for the film will be priced at $19.89 plus tax, while children and seniors will run at $13.13 plus tax. Clearly learning from Ticketmaster's mistakes, AMC will also plan to bolster its ticket server capacity to handle traffic at more than 5 times the current record for the most ever tickets sold in an hour. So yeah, are you ready? Are you ready for the Eras Tour, the movie? Lordy, lordy, lordy. Taylor, God love you. She is literally venturing into McCartney territory on just this tour. It's incredible. And, you know, she can pull it off. God love her. And now she's going to start getting a piece of that. She's going to start getting a piece of that big old theater pie as well. Chris is saying, man, how she's looking these days. I want to be the subject of one of her breakup songs. No, I don't think you do, Chris. I hear that. I hear something like that generally goes bad for people. So yeah, well, I tell you what. We got a little bit of time. I got a couple of minutes. Oh, yes, I do. Better be nice. We got some Swifties watching, pal. Just saying. 1, I'm not famous. And, well, okay. Famous is such a relative term, though. 2, therefore, it wouldn't affect me. No, 3, you just don't care. And even as a loser, I still hit. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Not so much Taylor Swift, but more like Beck. If you know, you know. Hey, I got an idea. We got a couple of minutes. Let's say we play a good old rousing game of What's Your Sign? Let's get into that for a minute, shall we? Everywhere a sign. So there's a little truth in advertising. Going back to the tote board real fast before we do this. Chris is still expounding on Taylor. It wouldn't affect me as a loser. I still hit. So when I lose, I win. Amu City is saying 4. After it's all over, write a tell-all book. That's one way to get your dinner ticket back. Because I'm telling you, dude, that's an expensive date right there. Taking Taylor out? We ain't talking we ain't talking church's chicken, okay? We ain't talking Wednesdays. No. We're talking something a little above that echelon, you know what I'm saying? And Chris says, I'm not paying, I'm cute. Yeah, okay, whatever you say. Hey, you can take her to this one place. This one place that we saw that not only has free wireless internet, but nachos as big as your ass. Alrighty then. Truth in advertising. I am the table. Okay. Well, you're the table. You know what I am? I'm a secondhand vegetarian. Cows eat grass. I eat cows. Dude, it's relative. When you stop and think about it, it's relative. Okay. Amy City saying she can afford Chris pulling a Rick James and Eddie Murphy's couch skate. Oh, you eat relatives? No, well. In case you ever need a real defense mechanism, may I recommend the good folks at Psychic Karate. So when you know exactly when you're going to have to kick off in a brother's ass, that, yeah. What can I tell you? How about one more? You can take her to this place, Chris. You can take her to this place. How about the place that serves dollar tacos that don't resemble cat food? Now that's the sign. That's good eating as far as I'm concerned. That's what's your sign.
Sign, everywhere a sign.
Which means it's just about time for us to get out of here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everybody. Remember, we are on the drive for 500 subscribers. And if you could tell everybody about this little slap fest we've got going on, I'd really appreciate it. That'd be a lot of fun. Speaking of slop fest, don't forget hugs at WRGG.com, HUGS@WRGG.com. Cyrus Gray has got the Hugs Top 10 countdown coming up right after this. Head on over to that website. You're going to hear some of the greatest music that you've never heard from artists that deserve to be heard. Some of the best unsigned independent music from around the world. Cyrus has got that coming up. In the meantime, again, thank you so much for joining me. I certainly do appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who joined us this evening. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Like, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. In other words, if you like it, hey, you know what to do. We'll see you next week. We out. Whoa!